cage that was, about 10 by 10 by 10. And she was in there, sitting at a little table like this, and I walked in and she wasn't in the population. She was right out there in the lobby. And I said, what's going on? Well, we got a special case here. We had to isolate her. I said, why? They said, why don't you get in there and talk to her and ask her? And the kind of with a smirk on her face, And I said, okay. They said, you want to go inside the cage? And I said, why wouldn't I? They said, up to you. So the CO turns around to his captain. He says, preacher wants to go in the case. The guy says, let him in. So they're all kind of laughing, and they opened the cage and let me in. And the girl didn't even look up. And I went over, and there was a little table she was sitting in one chair. There's a chair on the other side. And of course, cameras filming what happened in there. So anyway, I sat down and I said, hello, sweetheart. My name's Dave. She said, I'm not your sweetheart. I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know your name. It's just a figure of speech. She said, well, choose another one. We're not sweethearts. And I said, okay, my bad. I said, why are you in here? She said, I tried to kill my mother with a baseball bat, and I threw her body in the river. Somehow she lived, and they traced it back to me. And again, I came from a little town of 3,000 people called Emmetsville, Idaho. Just like,
guys, this is making me think about the movie Nefarious. Have y'all seen that? Nefarious? You got to see it. It's a Christian movie, a Christian thriller about, similar story, but it's a man.
It just blew my mind. I said, why did you hate your mother? She said, I never said I hated her. And I said, you bashed her head in with a bat? She said, yeah, I didn't have anything else to do it with. And I said, well, why would you do that? She said, to get her power. And I said, what does that even mean? She said, to get her power. We're Satanists. She had a lot of power, and I didn't have much. And she was being unfaithful, and my spirits told me about it. She said the whole coven knew she was being unfaithful. They didn't mean like in a marriage. They meant like